Okay, before we jump back in and do bankruptcy, I just want to reiterate that last question was challenging, okay? Question number 4, definitely should have had it narrowed down to A or C. But again, the reason why A would not be the best choice is just remember for me, whenever the principal's fully disclosed, then that means the third party is going to be able to go after the principal, okay? So whenever the principal is fully disclosed, then the third party can go after the principal. And remember, you got lots of ways to go after the principal. Actual authority, apparent authority, possibly ratifying. So the best answer choice, whenever we have a fully disclosed principal, is that the third party is going to hold the principal liable. The agent will not be liable for the contract. There's no doubt about it, C was the correct answer, the best choice. The reason that was the best choice is because I know the agent breached that fiduciary duty that he owed to the principal in that question. So the principal is going to be liable to the third party because the principal screwed up in not destroying the agent's power, because still having that agent have that written authorization, okay? So the principal will be liable to the third party, but then all will be well, because then the principal will sue the agent for any damages for breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty. Okay, now bankruptcy. Our goal is to pass the exam and avoid bankruptcy. And all your friends out there right now partying, having a good time, well, get to know this material because you're going to have to help them someday. Because as they're out there destroying brain cells, you are enhancing your future employment opportunities, okay? So you'll be able to help them in their filing for bankruptcy. All right, so here we go. This is a true story, though. Actually, when I was studying for the exam, I had this one friend who, it was actually when I was studying for the bar exam, who just nonstop used to just berate me because you're always studying between the CPA, then the LSAT, then law school, then the bar. He said, man, life is passing you by. He said, and then it was so funny because then like in the blink of an eye, this same guy called me up one day when I was practicing law and he needed help, somebody to file for bankruptcy. And he thought I was going to do him a favor and do it for free. And then I had to explain to him while I was in school, one of the things I learned is that free rhymes with slavery. And there ain't no way I'm working for free, brother, so if you can't pay, I can't represent you. Why I find that funny, I have no idea. All right, let me take my medication. Let's move on. So here we go. Bankruptcy, what we're going to avoid here. There are different types of bankruptcy cases. 3 of the 5 are very important. Let's just go through the generics. Chapter 7 is a liquidation. You're going out of business. Chapter 9 is for municipalities. It's a debt adjustment program for municipalities. Chapter 11 would be a reorganization. That's going to be important, like Chapter 7. Chapter 12, I know nothing about other than it's for farmers who have regular income. And then Chapter 13 is for individuals only. And this is going to be an adjustment of their debts if they have regular income. So you've got to just know what Chapter 7, Chapter 9, Chapter 11, Chapter 12, and Chapter 13. But we're going to focus in on 7, 11, and 13. Okay, now draw a bracket next to 2, 3, and 4 and star this. This is an outstanding overview. Whenever you see Chapter 7, word association game, you think of liquidation. And then you think of you're being liquidated. The business is going out of business. We need a trustee. To the right of that, put down IPC. This is available for individuals, sole proprietors, partnerships, as well as corporations. IPC, Chapter 7, liquidation. Now, why do we need a trustee when you're going to be liquidated? Because they're going to collect your assets, sell them, and then use the proceeds to pay off the creditors to whatever extent possible. Notice in letter B, if the debtor is an individual, any remaining debts are generally going to be discharged, but there are certain debts that will follow you forever, which we'll go through later. By the way, this is why the debtor prefers. If the debtor is an individual, they're going to prefer Chapter 7 over Chapter 13. Lucky 7 versus bad luck 13. You'd rather go Chapter 7 as an individual and get those debts discharged. Letter C, technically, if the debtor is an artificial entity like a corporation, then you're not discharged. Instead, the entity is dissolved, but basically the same thing. Collect any money owed, liquidate the assets, pay off the debts to whatever extent possible. The rest of the debts are discharged. So Chapter 7, liquidation, trustee appointed, IPC. Okay, Chapter 13, unlucky for individuals. You don't want to go Chapter 13. You'd rather go Chapter 7. Chapter 13 is individuals only if they have regular income. So to the right of that, put down I only, okay, I only voluntary. I only voluntary. So it's for individuals only, and it's voluntary only. You'll see how that's going to tie together later. So in Chapter 13, underline, the debtor's got to repay all or a portion of their debts, just extended out over a 3 to 5 year period. That's the very reason it's not preferred by individuals, because it's not the beautiful Chapter 7 getting everything be discharged. They're just going to give you more time under Chapter 13, okay? But they still want you to pay back most of those debts. Okay, folks, let's now take a look at Chapter 11, reorganization. Chapter 11, reorganization. In a Chapter 11 reorganization, notice something for me. There's no liquidation. Above that, write down the word hope. We have hope the business can continue. Therefore, a trustee is generally not required. Trustee is generally not required. To the right of that, put down IPC. Chapter 11, like Chapter 7, could be an individual, a partnership, or a corporation. Individual, partnership, or corporation. And notice again, a trustee is usually not required. Go to letter B. The debtor is going to remain in possession of their assets, and we're going to hopefully plan to reorganize in such a way that we can pay off most of the debts and continue the business going forward. Creditors are paid to the extent possible. Business continues. Look at that passkey bottom of the page. Trustee, we're going to need it for Chapter 7 liquidation and for Chapter 13. An adjustment plan for individuals, okay, debt adjustment plan, we're going to need it. Trustee is needed for 7 and 13. Generally don't need a trustee for Chapter 11 reorganization. Okay, top of page 17. Dismissal or conversion of a Chapter 7 case. Okay, first line of letter B. I want you to box off, we have an individual. So individuals can go 7, 11, or 13. Now, if the debtor is looking to have those debts discharged, they'd rather go Chapter 7. They'd rather go Chapter 7. But the government does not want individual consumer debtors abusing the bankruptcy code to run up credit card debt and then have all the debts discharged. So look at what this says in the first line. If we have an individual consumer debtor, your petition for bankruptcy will be dismissed or, with your consent, converted to Chapter 13 if granting Chapter 7 liquidation would abuse the system. Okay, so this only applies to individuals, okay? The means test. To the right of that, put down individuals only. Okay, the means test applies to individuals only. So now, in the margin to the left of B1, put down step 1. The question is, would it be more fair to the creditors for you to make more payment just over an extended period of time versus allowing a Chapter 7